So this is a ship that's kind of completely forgotten by time. This was a gift for the Project Discovery event that was live some 2 years ago, I believe. It was definitely quite a while ago, but this is the Enforcer prototype. One of the most unique ships in the game, and I'm still not sure as to why they didn't release the Action Enforcer, why they had to go with the prototype version of it, but this is still one of the most unique ships ever to be added to the game, and definitely one of the best looking ones as well. I'm still hoping to get the Action Enforcer one day. Would be very awesome to have that thing. It's a very powerful ship and would be very nice to have. But today we'll be taking a look at this thing, and I will see how much has this ship changed. Now, the most unique aspect of this thing is the fact that it has literally every single stat available to it. It is able to open Sign-On. Also, it is a cloaky ship, but it has a bonus on every weapon type, has a bonus on points, on webs, has everything, bonus on shield and armor as well, so you can pretty much use this ship with whatever main skill you have. It will probably work, since you probably have skills in one way or the other for it. And well, here you can take a look at the other stats. Now technically this is kind of a tier 6 ship, comparable to the Navy cruisers, around tier 6, tier 5, which is honestly not that bad, and the insurance cost is about 180 million. At least it used to be that number. I don't know how much it is now, because the ships are really rare, and you probably will not see many of these ships out there. Now this is a build that I've had on it for a very long time, a missile built long range kite. Honestly, today I'll be doing something different. It will be a kite build, but it's not going to be using missiles. I will be using artillery cannons, because I will be going into the Kalevala expanse with this thing, and we'll see how it will work in that little space. But speaking of the build, as I already mentioned, building this thing is kind of weird, since, I mean, you can take any build that you want. You can basically make this ship a close range, long range. The only thing that it can't really do is do drones. This is obviously not a drone boat. Kind of surprising that it's not a drone boat, since it already has every single skill bonus that there is for every single weapon type. But drones, that's one thing that this ship is lacking. You can go with lasers, you can go with railguns, autocannons. Every single weapon will have a benefit on the ship, but don't mix. Now, can you do a tank build? You can, although today I'm not going to be doing a tank build on the Enforcer. I'll be doing something, I'll be doing a classic long range kite build, because I'm curious to see how it would work. Although I already know it would be on the level of, as already mentioned, the level of a Navy cruiser, the level of a Mahler, for example. Mahler Starboard Fleet, that's about the Enforcer prototype's ship level, which honestly is not bad. As you guys already probably know, I like to fly my Mahler a lot, and this would technically be a very fun little ship to use. But I didn't do the event, and I did not buy this thing. Well, did not get the ship. Well, technically it was for free. It was a gift. If you were doing the Project Discovery, you were able to farm it. But the Project Discovery was honestly kind of boring, and I didn't really do it. I think it was like 2021 or 2022 when the Project Discovery event was out. It was a long time ago now. And this ship kind of popped in my mind today. I just looked at the hangar, saw it, and figure out, let's go back to it and let's see what changed. I mean, the medium slots, it has 3 medium slots, so I'll just use a defensive scrambler and dual webs to have a bonus on webs. So it should have about 20 kilometer web range, I believe, as a bonus on them, so it's very nice that it does have that. It's very interesting ship bonuses, and technically could be a very fun ship to fly. Again, I don't really know what the insurance cost on the ship. I don't have it, and the insurance on the test server doesn't work, so can't really check it out in that way. My goal is to have about 100 km range with the artillery cannons, although of course you can do a close range build with it as well, works. But I think power grid might be a problem. It doesn't have a lot of power grids after all, it is a covered ops and it is a prototype ship, but I will try to, yeah, I'll just keep one power grid router rig and I have two auxiliary thrusters, should be enough speed honestly. Just over 1000 power grids. I actually did have the idea to use a large extender, but I don't really know if that will fit. Probably it's not going to fit, but let's just, yeah, it's not going to fit. Let's try a lower grade, and nope, that's also not going to fit. Well then, okay, fair enough. Then I'll just take advantage of the covered ops capability that this thing can do, and I will use a covered ops cloaking device. It's very interesting that you can cloak with the ship. It's one of the most, I guess, unique prototype ships that can cloak. I also will put one tracking computer. You can go with two tracking computers, but I think I will settle with one tracking computer and use one gyro stabilizer. Mostly because it's not really, I mean, I already have like over 100 km range even with one, so it's not going to be much of a problem. And I can also enhance the range with some rigs that I also have to change. After all, I have missile rigs. That's not good. Let me go and just add some extra DPS on the Enforce. I will keep the engineering rigs as they are because I kind of need that one power router, although I think I can sacrifice that one rig, but for future projects I'll just keep it there. But I think I can just go with a triple auxiliary thruster build. And 433 DPS, not bad for the ship. 47.83 and optimal is 37. With a general unit I can definitely replace one tracking computer and use one gyro stabilizer, which would definitely help me to maintain a decent rate of fire. After all, the artillery cannons don't have a very nice rate of fire, so one gyro stabilizer is going to be a decent option. Okay, and this is how the ship looks now. A long-range kite. Okay, not going to complain about that. And for the implants, now you do have barrage, you have sniping implant. I should be using the sniping implant, but I'll be using the artillery barrage today out of curiosity, since I'm very interested to see if they have changed that implant. But again, if you are using a long-range kite build, then using the sniping technology implant is definitely the way to go, and probably the better way, since the sniping implant was buffed recently, so it will probably have a very good kick to it, and it will do a lot of alpha damage. 097 DPS. Okay, I'll take it. Not bad, doesn't look too bad, and the range is fairly decent as well. So let's look at the stats, on the active stats. I will separate the main turrets into two groups so that I get some extra damage. Doesn't look too bad. 2.2 km per second, not the fastest, but at the same time it's not the slowest, so I think the speed will be more than enough. 856 DPS and 81 km active valve, optimal 43, so technically it should be able to hit over 100 kilometers. Okay, that looks fairly decent already. Now, you'll be surprised, but this ship actually does have some nanocores, has a sleeper core that I'll be using today. Has a sleeper core, and it has a special nanocore for the Enforcer, the Infinite core, which does look very nice. Both of which are super rare, and you will probably not see many of these scores out there, but their stats are generally fairly decent. So, time to see how this little boat will actually work. Honestly, I haven't done a lot of things with it. I figured it was a very interesting ship to check out, but that was a long time ago, and let's take this thing for a ride. The sleeper core looks awesome on this thing. You know, I have to give him one thing. They definitely made the graphics look identical to EVE Online. Well, at least for the most part. So we will be going to the small way secret encampment. I'll be warping at 100 kilometers after all. This is a sniper and it should remain at a long distance, away from the enemy. The thing is, it will have enough speed to outrun and outpace the drones. While the drones can be scary, they're really, really not that difficult to deal with. And I have no idea why that newcomer training popped up. I did turn that off. Can't really do that now since I'm already in combat. When you are fighting these drones, always make sure that you prioritize the fast ones. And honestly, the alpha damage is not that bad. With the sniping implant, with the sniping technology, the overall alpha damage would be significantly higher, I would say. Would definitely be significantly higher, and overall in PvE we can actually use the sniping technology, although the artillery cover is more of a passive implant, so we can use both. I mean, you can use any implant that you like, really. I'm not really saying one is better than the other. Every implant is kind of broken in their own way, so in the end, use the implant that you have, level up, use the implant that you need depending on the situation, and you will not have any problems with how it would work. So, you do have a lot of different ways to approach the Kalavala expanse. One thing that I like about it is that you don't really need to have a very expensive ship in order to run the anomalies. You can run the anomalies with very cheap cruisers, with very cheap frigates, destroyers, which works. However, you do have to have a good build. If you don't have a good build, well, it might get a bit, weird. I personally prefer snipers for this job. From my personal experience, snipers seem to be working the best. And when I say working the best, it's the easiest, really. Long range sniping seems to be the easiest. And of course, the cheapest way to run the anomalies. Now, I did kind of expect this performance out of the Enforcer. It does really feel like a tier 6, tier 7 cruiser around that level, and that's about the level the developers designed, I guess, for this ship. And I don't know if we will see, I mean, I would love to see the Marshal, the Black Ops. I mean, we already do have Black Ops ships, so the Marshal would definitely be a very nice addition. I will be flying that thing, of course. The actual Enforcer and the Pacifier are also two very interesting ships that I would also like to see at one point, but not the prototypes, of course, the actual thing. And I think they might already have them. I mean, anything is possible nowadays, especially since they did say, I mean, the developer did say something about balancing the increase in defenses of ships. So that's, I guess, that's going to be the topic for this year, I guess, to increase the defenses of the ships, and that's going to be very interesting to I'm very curious to see how that will go, since I already do have some very tanky ships, and if they do decide to eventually like increase the overall hit points and defenses of ships, I can see that being a huge help versus those crazy implants. And honestly, eventually when they do increase the defenses, it would put, I guess, the balance back in its place. Crazy DPS counted by crazy defenses in one aspect that would kind of bring everything back to as it used to be, and the builds would definitely change. So honestly, very interesting time for the game. 930.16 DPS with that one single gyro stabilizer active. With the barrage implant, the DPS would definitely be a lot higher. Obviously, I mean, that's to be expected. With the barrage implant, the DPS would be very high, but the overall effect of the barrage implant isn't that long. It is still a ridiculously crazy implant when you look at numbers, of course, but in all honesty, in all reality, the barrage implant isn't as broken as some of the other, like the bombard tactic, for example. That one is very, very, very nasty. And speaking of which, we'll be rolling out a super capital very soon, just out of curiosity to test out some things. I haven't done any super carrier stuff in a while. I want to check something out, mostly regarding the new implant, basically the aerospace tactic. I haven't really done anything with that implant, so I really want to see what I can do with it. Should be honestly very fun. Maybe solving some very scary anomalies. That would be fun. That's how I tested out the super capitals when they have been released a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago, but when have super capitals been released? Last year? Was it around summer or something like that? Kind of forgot already. I think the thing was like in June, July or something. So almost a year ago. So that will be definitely interesting to check out. Now back on the Enforcer here, it does work very well so far. I have no complaint. I mean, I have no complaints. If this was the actual Enforcer, when I say actual, if this was the full Enforcer, the non-prototype version of the ship, this would be a very, very powerful ship. Now, one thing that they need to change in a way, and that's one of the things that the developer also talked about. They want to reduce the number of ships in the game and increase their usefulness, which, when you look at things, makes sense. Would obviously help with the insurance cost and with the insurance price, since if they remove two ships that cost a lot and if they replace it with one ship that's not that expensive, the whole insurance thing can be solved. Of course, the insurance price may go up or down depending on what you do with the ship. I'm not really sure what's the exact idea that the developer has behind that, but if they do that, then the prototypes might go away. And if the prototypes do go away, then we will see the actual Enforcer and the actual Kanyu ships being added. That's why I'm kind of excited about what the developer said when they talked about the number of reduced ships. That's a thing that caught my attention, since we do have several versions of ships right now. Let's say Apocalypse Navy, and Apocalypse Striker, 3 different ships, right? Well, if they replace it with one, it will change things quite a bit. So I'm very curious to see what the developer meant by that. We will find it out though very soon. It's not a big deal. I mean, it is kind of a big deal. We are in for a ride, that's for sure, because it looks like this year will be the year of the big change, I would say. When I say a big change, the year where they probably remap something, change things. For the worse or for the better, I don't know. My stance on that is pretty neutral at the moment. What they said regarding the ships does seem interesting. Mostly because if that's the case, then there's a good chance that the prototype ships will also get reworked. The Praxis also can get reworked. The Gnosis can also get reworked, and all of these ships could potentially be even more useful than they are now. So that's the good part of it, the good thing of it. Regarding the insurance cost and insurance price, I don't really know what to expect with the ship production. The price of the normal ships might go up, so it could be a good idea to save things. Could be a good idea to buy ships now. I've absolutely no idea. I have a bunch of ships that's on the day of the update. I will be removing all the equipment. I'll be removing all the rigs because I don't know if it will be lost. I just don't want to lose anything, so I'll be removing stuff from the ships, and in case something gets lost, I don't lose the equipment. So we will. I definitely have to follow on what's going to happen, and it's also one of the things that kind of made me make a video on the Enforcer, because there's a good chance that if they do reduce the number of ships, that the Enforcer will also be replaced by the actual Enforcer, and that's gonna be pretty fun. So that brought me back to this ship, basically the idea of that. Been thinking a lot about what the developer said, and it does sound interesting. That's a fact. It does sound very interesting. So I will definitely have to keep a close eye on what's happening there regarding that update. Now, no exact time frame for that. The only thing that I know is that Titans will probably be launched on anniversary. I mean, Titans should have been released last year if we were to follow things right. Titans should have been released last year if they haven't been cancelled. And honestly, I'm not really complaining that they have been cancelled. I'm glad that they did choose other things instead of Titans. Kalevala expense has been amazing so far. Honestly, the single best, this year and bits of last year brought some of the best updates to the game to date. New space, Needlejacks also been very nice. New ships, honestly some of the best updates that we've seen. And this year can potentially top that off, but again, we will see. And one little demonstration at the end of the video for the cloaking device. Yeah, you can cloak with this. Obviously, it's a cloaked up ship. There we go. Cloaked and back to safety. It also can warp cloaked. So yeah, don't worry about this thing being unable to warp cloaked. It can warp cloaked like any other cover tops. So it is overall a very interesting ship. And well, what would I say about the Enforcer? Well, it's a very interesting ship. I'm going to be waiting for the action Enforcer. If they do add that, I'm flying it for sure. But the prototype is definitely a very interesting experimental ship, unique ship that it is definitely worth to have as a collectible, since it is extremely rare. And if you have one of these ships, you're lucky, because these things are very, very rare now. And well, with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.